finally get this thing going. Jeez, I'm not that technically savvy. Okay, so hopefully after like 87 tries, the YouTube stream is now live. And yes, I think it is. So awesome, awesome. We'll wait and let a couple people get up in here. So I'm like distracted. It's took a while with the technical difficulties, but welcome. Thank you guys for joining the stream today. So earlier today, I finished making my offers. I did 10 offers today. I have a YouTube video on this. If you guys are curious as to how I do that as part of my routine, you should definitely check it out. I use a very cool software, rehearse. Some of you are familiar with it. Basically, it allows you to find properties. You can, it probably for like, 10 properties takes me about 30 minutes or so to kind of do a quick analysis. And then with the system, I can shoot out all my contracts within about 2 minutes. And then so the plan was to do that and then record a video for you guys about title companies. What is a title company? What is title insurance? What does that mean for you as a wholesaler? And how do you find a good one? All those kind of questions. And I chose not to do that. So I'm still going to make this video for you, but I actually wanted to come and just do another live session because yesterday's session was so good. It kind of got me amped up, and I realized, there are a couple things in this world that get me really excited, and this is one of them, and especially with the feedback and the engagement from you guys yesterday. That was awesome. What's up? Hey, is it Ramon, I think? If you guys can hear me, if you give me like a little thumbs up or something on the YouTube, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, it was just a great session, a lot of good energy, great questions. So that was really, really cool. So I just wanted to come on and jump on today. I know we got cut off, so I wanted to answer a couple more of those questions. And then at the same time, I want to do something a little bit different that I think will be kind of cool, but I'm not really sure. So we're going to see kind of how this whole thing works out. Yeah, thank you guys again for the live yesterday. A little confession here is, I haven't done videos in a while, and part of it is it's like I really just didn't know what what to talk about, right? I didn't know what topics I should discuss next. And then the questions yesterday were amazing. So thank you guys for that. And just please keep them coming because I went home and I started making a list, man. And so now I got a whole bunch of topics. I got some of them right here. We'll do a video on like how to do repair estimates, some stuff on negotiating, some stuff on finding deals online, listing agents, and a lot of good stuff like that. So like I said, I'm pretty excited to do those videos. A couple things get me excited. Next one's going to be Nate Diaz and Masvidal. Jeez, I can't wait for that fight. But that's going to be dope. So please do keep those questions coming. The best way, just send them to my DM. Mike Hill TWT on Instagram. Just send them there, and I will. I'll get back to them, or I'll incorporate them into the next live videos or the videos or whatever. I'm seeing some familiar faces in here. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? So yeah. I got an order. I kind of want to go in. The technical difficulty set me back a little bit. But okay, yes. A couple of announcements, some stuff that I wanted to do. So one thing that I really, really want to touch on, right, is how to do your first deal. And the reason is because these are probably the most questions that I get. And the first deal really is the hardest, and it's also the most empowering. I think one thing about the first deal is, number one, is the belief system. At first you're like, does this really work? Is it going to work? Is it possible? I've been working on this for a couple of weeks and I'm not seeing it. I'm not really sure, right? So, one thing, like people go to I don't know, you go to university for like 4 years to get a degree in English, and like that's cool, but like people get in this business for, I don't know, 3 weeks and like, man, this shit doesn't work. I'm out of here. So one thing is that it gets you in the right mindset, that belief system. And then the other thing is for a lot of people starting off, and I relate to this very well, is that in the beginning, you don't have a lot of resources. So not only do you not know what you're doing, you might be working a 9 to 5, which is consuming your time. You probably don't have proof of funds. You might not even have enough for an earnest money deposit. And so once you get the first one done, it's like, okay, you get the belief system and you start building some momentum. You know that you can actually do this shit. And then after your first deal closes, or maybe your first couple, now you got some money to show for your proof of funds letter. Even if you don't have the whole amount, you can at least show something and to accompany a proof of funds letter, which will help you. You'll probably have enough for an earnest money deposit and things of that nature. So that can be very, very empowering, and that's what I want to talk about. I think a lot of you guys know my story, but when I got to South Florida, man, again, came with nothing, man. I moved into my grandma's house. It was 3 of us. We drove cross country from South Dakota in my fiance's car. I didn't have my own car. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job prospect. I had like $600 on me. And Yeah, it was a little rough, but sometimes that desperation really pushes you where you're like, man, I got no choice. I got to make this work. And so that's why that is something that's so kind of dear to me, close to my heart. And like when I see people's stories and their first success stories and their Snapchats or messages, emails, like that's something that it's just awesome, man. It's a really great feeling. So the way that I want to do this is, I've done webinars and shit like that before, and that's cool. You get to get your thought process down. But to be honest, man, I don't like putting together PowerPoints. That shit's a lot of work. And I really like this format that we have where it's more like live Q&A. So I want to do it in this same format, Q&A, but I really want to keep it focused on how to do that first deal. Now, with that said, I would like to, because I want this to like really pack as much shit in there as I can. I'd love to get as many people on there as I can. So I'm going to create a survey. I think you can do it on Facebook. And I just want to know when the most people are available because I have a little bit more flexibility in my time. And I don't know if weekdays work better, weekends, if you're a day person, lunch breaks, evening, what works best. So if you could please fill that out. Obviously, if you're watching this live, I haven't done it yet, so it's not available. But if you watch this maybe like an hour later, I'll put a link in the description. So if you guys could fill that out, that'd be awesome. And then, it's good for you because then you can be there and add your input and add your questions. All right. So yes, please do fill that out. It'll be just pure Q&A, and I'll give you my framework as to like, some step-by-step stuff that I teach my students as to how you can do that first deal and get that done. All right. So what I really want to talk about right now, and as we go, guys, you can feel free. I got a slight agenda here, but it's going to be really cool. I want to talk about, I've been getting a lot of questions on cold calling and making phone calls and making offers. And I really want to touch on that for a minute. So if you have questions, just go ahead and drop them in any of these chat boxes, comments, whatever, and then I'll look over them. But let me get past this piece a little bit. So a lot of questions on, cold calling. How am I more confident on the phone? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And just a lot of advice like that. Does it really work? Stuff like that. And so one piece of advice and the biggest tool that I can give you for this is to use a script. Now, like back in the day when I first heard this, I was like, hell no, I'm not using a script. That shit is corny. You sound robotic. I don't want to sound like a damn telemarketer. Hello, Mr. Da-da-da. It just didn't really sit right with me until I came across this, the advice of Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street. And I've read all of his books. All three of his books, they're amazing. It's also one of my favorite movies. And, people say, yeah, the book's always better than the movie. Not always true. In that case, it is. Those books are fantastic. But one thing he said this. Think about every movie that you've ever seen, right? Everything that's ever moved you emotionally. If you've ever teared up, you've ever cried during a movie, you've ever felt or resonated with a character. He's like, all those moments are scripted, And he gave this example of the Mel Gibson and Braveheart. He's like, when this guy's getting everyone fired up to go off to war and, stuff like that. Like, sorry, I'm reading the comments as we go. He's like, you think the director was like, go wing it? It's like, no, it was scripted. And so when he said it like that, I'm like, maybe this kind of makes some sense here. Maybe I should really look into this and start utilizing this tool. And the other thing is that when you use a script, it keeps you very much on point. So, there's a goal, and it keeps you very focused. His system's called the straight line system for that reason. So you don't get caught up in the, hey, I'm going to just focus on building rapport stuff. And then next thing you guys are both talking about how you went fishing, I don't know, 10 years ago with your kids or something. So that's why I really, really recommend that you go ahead and use that script. I do have scripts of my own. If you want to check them out, they're largely built off of that system, the straight line system. And then also I've done training with my man, Uncle G. So Grant Cardone system. And then again, I've been making phone calls since 2012. And again, started with nothing. I did a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, if you want to check those out, wholesalingScripts.com. Do I want you to just buy these scripts? Of course I do, but that is not the point of the video here. It's just a tool that you can use. So again, check them out, wholesalingScripts.com, and then that'll lead into the next thing. And the next piece is that, okay, well, now I know what to say, but I'm nervous on the phone. What if I mess up? And like all this fear and all this shit really starts getting in your head of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So can I, so how can I kind of make this work? So that's kind of what I wanted to do today is I wanted to jump on live specifically and just find a property and I wanted to call, and hopefully this works. And I don't know, like I said, we're doing it live, but find a property and call, and I just want to fuck this phone call up. Like I just want to pretend like I don't know anything about what I'm doing. Sound very ignorant. Or maybe I'll throw some stuttering in there. Maybe ask the wrong types of questions. And the reason I want to do that is just to demonstrate, and so you guys can see that it really doesn't matter. You know, like after the call, I'll still be here, right? I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna go to jail. Hopefully, I won't cry too much. You know, so it's gonna be. Yeah, so I just want to kind of demonstrate that. So hopefully that works out. So what I'm going to do right now is I need to use this phone so I can make this phone call. And so this is my Facebook feed. So I'm going to drop off of the Facebook feed for a while. For you guys that are on there, I'll take a glance at your comments really quickly. And if you want, you can catch up on the Instagram feed. It's going to be Mike Hill TWT. Or you can catch me on YouTube. So it's just youtube.com/Mike Hill, the wholesaling Titan. Or if you just go to YouTube and type in Mike Hill Titan, it'll be on there. Also, in order to try to find this property, I'm going to do a screen share. So if you can watch it on YouTube, that'd probably be a little bit better because then you can see exactly what I'm going to do to try to find. Hey, man, I'm just trying to make a point. And on that note, okay, I'll get to that in a second. But because honestly, it really is the fear most times that keeps people back. And then, I get people say like, this calling stuff, I'm not comfortable with it or it doesn't work. And yesterday we talked about putting the reps in, man. The more reps you do, the better you're going to get. It's just a fact, right? But you got to do it. So when people tell me, I made cold calls, it didn't work. How many calls did you make? 10. It's like, of course it didn't work. So I'm just going to demonstrate like it doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't matter. Now with that said, I'm going to cheat a little bit here because, for my primary market, which is Palm Beach and Broward, obviously, I want to make the deal, sign the contract. So I'll do a call that is not in my exact target market. So, okay, I'm going to check this Facebook joint, and then in the YouTube stream, I'll walk you guys on Instagram through it. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. So, if you guys don't mind Facebook, sorry. I'll cut y'all off. All right, let's see if we got any questions here. Learned everything from him 3 years ago. Got me into wholesaling. One of the original. Hey, Matt, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. That's awesome. All right, and then we got a question on where do I find leads, right? So my student, I'm gonna call you back, man. We're live. Or maybe I should just pick this up and talk to him right now. Let's see. Hold on. Logan. Oh, sorry. What up, man? Hey, just so you know, I'm on a live session right now. So if you're talking about something specific, you might not want to say it.
You're on live right now?
Yeah, I am. So there's some folks watching. I'm on YouTube and Instagram at the moment. But if you got something I can answer for you, I could answer it if it's beneficial to everybody and you don't want to give away your property or anything like that. That's cool. And if not, I'll call you back when we end this. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it could be beneficial. Okay, so I got a property. I got this guy that want to sell his home, and he actually want to sell both homes at the same time. One home, the ARV is 380.
Okay.
The other home, the ARV is 250. The one that ARV is 250 is already renovated. It's been renovated in the last 5 years. He just want to sell it fast.
Did you say why?
380. He just want to sell it fast. Listed right now, I think his wife, his sister-in-law, his wife's sister is a realtor. She got to list it, but he said he can take it off easily. He just want to sell it fast. That's already been rehabbed. Like, it looks really good. It's listed on the MLS. It's already a good house. It don't need nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's done to it. He just want to sell it fast. The other home is 380. He's renting it out right now, but he just want to sell it. But he want to sell both of them together for $500K. Now, one of them ain't technically a wholesale because it's already 100% retail ready. The other one, it probably needs some work, but I don't think it's no major work. But I'm going to go see the property probably maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm waiting on him to hit me back. But how do you, he want to sell both together at the same time. How would you put that together? Would you try to put it where you make one, the wholesale contract, and the other? Because I think I need a buy and hold investor for one of them, and the other one, I know they got to be two separate contracts, but you want to sell them together for the total amount of $500K. And so one of them would be a wholesale, I guess. The other one is going to be a buy and hold, but I don't even know how to really put it together. 100%. And then too, like as a wholesaler, how do you even come across buy and hold investors like the same? Like it seems like it's easy to find people that want to buy for 70 cents, 60 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
But the buy and hold investors, how do you go about that?
Yeah, matter of fact, yo, if you look in your refax and the cash buyer section, they actually have stuff where you can, uh, again, every system has like their margin of error, but there you can actually see who are the people who are holding. So if you check that out, I'll show you how to do that a little bit later if you want to look into that. And then other, like some of the stuff we talked about, like Go Section 8, you can find a lot of people on there. But yeah, for this, you're looking at two different demographics of buyers, so you definitely want to get those contracts under. You want to get them under contract separately. But do me a favor, man. Send me email me the addresses, right? So I can take a look at them and like kind of run those comps for you, and then we'll see what that looks like. And then let me so I get back on this stream, and then I'll take a look at them and tell you how to go from there. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'll probably be on here for like another half hour, and then so try to send it to me between then, and then I'll hit you back.
Okay. Quick question.
Yep.
Last question. What percentage do a buy and hold need to get for compared to the wholesale? Like, what percentage would be a good percentage? Like for average, I know everybody's different. What's the average you think?
I mean, it's really going to depend. I mean, again, a lot of times what like to use, like the very rough rule is basically rent times 100. Again, it really depends on the area and stuff like that, but typically you take the monthly rent and just multiply by 100. That's going to be your maximum allowable offer. But it really varies. And, sometimes you got people who just like a certain area. Like I got a buyer right now. He just likes Pompano Beach, man. So like he even overpays. But like all of his rentals, he's got like 4 houses right now. They're all within a 2-block radius. So that's the other thing why it really helps to just kind of know your buyers. But again, that rent times 100 rule, again, it's very, very general. But that's a good place to start. And then again, you just kind of put it out there. And then if we need to negotiate, like basically we just want to get an offer, and then we can go back and renegotiate during the inspection period.
Yes, sir. All right, now.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a little bit. All right.
Okay, all right.
All right, guys. Thank you for your patience. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump on this screen share for YouTube, and then if you guys are on Instagram, I'll try to just kind of talk you through what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go to Zillow, man. So everyone asking about like, how do I get MLS access and all this stuff, man? Like ideally, yeah, you should have that. There's services that you can use and pay for it. In my system, I have in Refax, there's like IDX portal. You can find those, and that's another way to get in there. If you are in South Florida and you want to email me, I could give you or message me. I give you a link to IDX, which is a little bit better. That's basically what the system that feeds the MLS, and it's a little bit better because whereas in Zillow, for example, you won't see like the contact information, like email addresses and stuff like that of the listing agent. You can catch those in the IDX, and that's how you can get a lot of realtors' information. Also, you can just partner with a realtor. It's always good to have connections in the business. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, let's switch this thing over. So if you guys are on the YouTube stream, if you see Zillow, just hit me with a thumbs up. That'd be cool. So we're right here in Zillow, and again, I said I'm not going to do this in my exact target market. So let's do Orlando. All right, so we're going to look in Orlando. For sale. All right, and I'm gonna take potential listings for rent, stuff like that. Price, let's look at like 100,000 to like 200,000. Again, you obviously want to do your target market research. What's happening, Sanjay? And so, to really know what's selling, what cash buyers are buying. But again, we're just going cold here because the point is, it's more important to take imperfect action, and you actually take action than to just do nothing. To just sit there and kind of dabble. All right, so beds, I like to look at like 3 bed is usually ideal, but if nothing comes up, we'll do 2+. And then the thing I like about Zillow, a lot of other sites like this, is you can hit the more button, and then you have this thing called the keyword search. And again, you should save these and have an email inbox dedicated to sending you leads anytime a property comes on that has that keyword in there. Another thing about this, a student sent me a deal today. Oh, it's not even a deal, but a property she was looking at, and it was perfect, right? It's newly renovated, new stainless steel appliances, all this stuff. And I looked at the price point, and it's pretty much retail. So I asked her, why did you pick this property? What's indicative of motivation? Usually it's distress, right? That's what we ideally look for. Stuff with holes, like I said, in the roof and trash and all this type of shit. And then she said, well, it's been on market for a long time, right? And so you probably heard this advice for to go after listings that have been online for a long time. And while there's merit to that, right? It makes sense to do that because what's the rationale? Well, there's no competition there, so the seller might be motivated out of frustration or then be open to a lower price. But we're not really looking for like a 10% discount. We're looking for like 70% discount. So I'm not telling you not to go after those leads. What I'm saying is I've had students who come in and they exclusively look for those leads. Now, what happens when a property is, vacant and gets listed on the MLS and it's just like a piece of shit and it says rehab, and what happens is going to hit the MLS, and then within the first 5 days, investors, other wholesalers or other investors who are a little bit more diligent, like I pretty much search this shit every day. But some people, like if your buyer's a doctor or lawyer, they might not search it once a week or something like that. So your goal is to get those first. So my point is, don't restrict your searches only to stuff that have been on market, let's say 180 days, because you're going to be leaving out that portion of the demographic where there are deals in there. So you can look at it, but don't make it like an exclusive thing when you're searching at MLS. All right, so what I'm going to do for keywords, I'm going to leave days on Zillow and all these other things, is I'm just going to, I've talked about this before, but let's go with like TLC, right? So usually this is realtor speak for, man, this shit is fucked up. Like it needs a lot of work. So let's just go ahead and search that and see what we come up for. All right, we got, see something like this. Well, this is sponsored, but that's way too pretty, man. I don't want to see that. So let's see why it says TLC. We'll read the description, and if not, we'll search something else, maybe like fire damaged or like Chinese drywall. Mold is a really good one. So let's see what the listing says here, right? How can we expand this? My browser's kind of jacked on here. Why can I not see the? 1 second, guys. See if I can find this. The listing details on here. Okay. Location, location, location. Don't miss this opportunity. Ideal for an investor or first-time buyer. Sounds good. Centrally located somewhere. Property could use some TLC and updating. All right. So they got it listed here at 159. Let's go ahead and look at what it looks like inside. Kind of standard. So I mean, really, like what I would like to see is like if you guys have seen some of the properties on my website, investingwithmike.com, you'll see that a lot of them are really messed up. They need new flooring. This one just kind of looks a little bit dated. Another thing I kind of like to do, let's go ahead and take the address just so you could be a little bit knowledgeable. Like obviously you want to run your comps properly, right? But let's just use, here's a site, like if I'm just looking very briefly, icomps.com. So let's just put this in there and see if we can see what like other properties are kind of selling for, right? Come on, man. And while we wait for that, just let me know. Again, I'm checking if you guys have questions. Just remember to leave that in there. All right, so you can see the map view. Again, this is not a proper way to run comps. We're not looking at subdivisions or anything like that, but just a I don't know, ballpark, right? So let's just look by proximity. We see this one here. It highlights it. It's 0.04 miles away. So for 175, right? And then we got this one here, 175, right? And then this one's a little bit lower. And we're looking at a 3-1. This one was a 3-1, 175, and the one above it was a 4. But let's just say, for example, it's worth 175. Again, the exercise is not to get a deal here, but it's just to make a point. So let's see. We're at 175. Ideally, we would want to get this at times 0.7, like 125-ish. So, man, we kind of got a ways to go. I'd like to call on something a little bit closer than that. But whatever, right? We'll just go with this. So what you want to do is you never want to call the buyer's agent. If you're on Zillow, sometimes you'll see, can I not expand this? You'll see, well, they have boxes that pop up and it's like contact an agent, or it'll say premier agent. And so you really don't want to do that. Those are advertisements, same way like Google does. And there's a sponsor. Those are for buyer's agents. You don't want to work with buyer's agents. If you guys don't know why, ask me in the comments and I'll let you know. But until then, I'll just assume you got to know already. So we want to look at the, again, yeah, the listing agent. Cash or conventional offers only. Okay, so the listing agent is here, Hein Carmen. typically the agent will have their phone number there, but it doesn't look like he does. But that's kind of a not common name. So let's see if we can find his info with just a little. Let's not do LinkedIn. Google search in here. Hide. Sorry, this is taking a little while, which is why I just saw a phone number, I think. Yeah. All right, so let's call this dude real quick. And again, guys, remember the purpose of this call is just to demonstrate you can totally fuck up a call and you'll be okay. Like you'll still be alive. You'll still be there. All right. So,
Johnny
hi, can I speak to Hein, please?
speaking.
Hey, Hein, my name is Mike. I'm calling about one of your listings that I found online, 3937 Beachman Drive.
Which one again?
Yeah, so this is up in Orlando. The address 3937 Beachman Drive.
Yes, I just put it on the mark. Yes.
Okay, great. You know, I had a couple questions about this. You have a couple minutes to chat?
Yes.
All right, and it's Hein, right? Am I saying that correctly? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's like Heineken. It's Dutch.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like that. Well, listen, Hein, man, I gotta be honest with you, man. I kind of have no idea what the hell I'm doing, man. Right now, I'm looking for an investment property. I've got some cash sitting around, and essentially, I want to get something that needs a little bit of work, right? I see on your listing that it says this thing needs some TLC, and you know, like I said, I'm not really sure where I'm going here. This is gonna be kind of my first investment property here. I've got some cash sitting around, and basically, I like to get something that basically maybe I could slap some paint on it, maybe throw in a new kitchen and bath, and put it back on the market at a higher price. And with the TLC, I just wonder, you know, could you tell me a little bit about the property, what kind of repairs I need on there, and if you know, you tell me maybe about the what the sellers are looking for, and if that's something that you think might work for me as an investment.
Okay, this is the deal. I do the same thing as you do. I only work with my own property. In this case, it's it's the biggest hedge fund in the United States. They own 80,000 properties. I do the listings for them here in Orlando area. If the lease expires and they feel it doesn't fit their portfolio anymore, they paint it, put carpet, and they sell it. This is one of them.
Okay.
I saw the pictures. If you look for a rental, this property is ready to be rented and move in. If you're looking for rehab, yeah, I mean, it will qualify for it. But if you're thinking about like a lowball offer, my seller is not interested.
What would be considered a lowball offer, man? Like again, like I said, I'm just kind of getting started in there. I've got some cash sitting around, and you know, I don't want it to be sitting there, you know, earning 1%. I'd really like to get into this. I am more so looking for a fix and flip. And again, you said you had, you know, this company's got 80,000. So maybe if this isn't and basically when you say lowball, you know, I don't want something unrealistic, but I definitely want to be able to put some money in.
Let me put it this way: if
Okay.
you are thinking in the 130 range, then don't waste your time.
Okay. So let me ask you.
Does it answer your question?
To a degree, but hopefully you can still help me out a little bit more. So if you're telling me that you know you have a lot of these properties, so it sounds like you'd probably be someone I want to work with. Like I said, I kind of new to this, and I'm not working with a realtor at all. So would you happen to have something else you could refer me to? Maybe something that needs a little bit more work, something like that needs maybe a full rehab.
I'm getting one in Sanford, an older house in Sanford that might qualify for you.
Okay.
But that's not. I know I'm getting it, but there's no pricing or anything else yet. So it's not much I can tell you about that one. But that needs a rehab, and that will probably be in your price range. This particular property, I think it's really worth the money, but more like an investment for rental, not for like rehab, because
based on the zip code where it's in, and it doesn't really need. I think it doesn't really need that much work.
Right. Well, actually, what you told me about that other property sounds a lot more intriguing. Now, I know you don't have too many details, but do you have kind of an ETA when that might hit the market or when that might be available?
I think within a week.
Okay, great. So, and you said that's up in Sanford, right?
Why don't you text me just hey, I'm looking for a fix and flip. As soon as you got something, let me know, and then I'll call you as soon as that one comes available.
Okay, beautiful. So let's do this. This number here, is this your cell phone number?
I give you my other number. It's 407 924 4402.
Sorry, repeat the last four for me.
407 924
Yep.
4402.
Okay, great. So, Hein, what I'm going to do is I'll shoot you a text. Again, my name is Mike. I'll remind you, just a brief conversation, and I'll give you a little bit more criteria. There are a couple different zip codes that I'm really interested in. I'll kind of let you know what we're looking for. And then, yeah, if you could just give me a call as soon as you get that, I'm ready to go, man. I'm just sitting here kind of waiting to move. And again, I'm not working with a realtor, and we could close pretty quickly on it.
If you give me the zip code and not working with a realtor, I will get you the information even before it hits the market. Okay.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. So I'll definitely be in touch. I'll text you my info right now, and then I'll do a little follow up just so we can keep in touch. That'd be great, man. Thank you so much for your time and for your help.
I appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot. Bye. All right, so again, guys, like nothing special there. You can see, like, I did not use my script, right? I didn't try to sound professional. As a matter of fact, I told the dude I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm also at the same time letting him know, like, I need your assistance. But if you notice, I dropped in there, I'm not working with another realtor. That's very important because most people that contact, for these MLS leads, they're working with a buyer's agent, which is basically saying, hey, man, I want to work with you, but I need half your paycheck or, half your commission. So that's something that's very important. And then again, nothing really here. Again, this deal didn't work. But now imagine, what that took maybe like 10 minutes or so. So imagine if I just sat here and literally just did that shit for the next, 2:40 right now. If I just did that till 5 o'clock, this is a potential lead. Now, this is why the follow-up is so important. He gave me some key information. Hey, it's owned by this company. If they can't sell it, they get 80,000 listings. They give them all to me. Now, I put myself out there like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but hey, I'm willing to work with you and I have cash. So I get his contact information. It's not my target market, but I'll probably hit him up anyway. And, he'll show me. Maybe it works for maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But at the same time, you also notice that he said he'll give it to me first, right? So that I get it as a pocket listing before it even comes out to anybody else on the market. So again, if you are struggling or looking to do your first deal, or even if you just want to add some extra shit, like let's say you're doing direct mail, you're spending $5,000 a month, you do one flip, you make 10,000, right? So now you're putting $1 in, you're getting two back out. That's still good, right? But now let's say you put 5,000 in, you do that deal, and then you make a couple phone calls every day over the course of a month. Like I said, you see how many phone calls you can do. Now you make another deal, you make 10,000, and now your total monetary input is 5,000, but you're banking $20,000 for that month. So that's just a way that you can do it. And again, you just keep calling, stay in touch, make sure that you follow up with these guys, and always ask them, hey, what else do you have? Do you have something else? Could I call you? Can I follow up with you in a certain time? Hey, can I have your commitment to give me a call as soon as you get this? And then people will say yes, but you don't expect them to say yes. You don't expect them to follow through. It falls on you. So you got to put this in your CRM and your follow-up system and just say, make sure that you're calling these people back. And then again, a lot of realtors, remember, you make the job easy for them. You take care of the paperwork. You're giving them a full commission, all this stuff. You want it to be easy for them to work with you and get paid, and then they essentially become your bird dogs. They'll start sending you leads. So that's just one example. And again, not the greatest phone call, but I'm glad that we did it that way, just so you kind of can see that you don't need to be perfect. And even if I fucked that call up a little bit more, and the dude was like, "Hey, man, you're one of these wholesaling guys," like, fuck you, which happens. It just be like, all right, cool, man, and then you just move to the next one. So that's just another very, very simple way to to kind of do this stuff. And I know I missed out on some questions, but I'll go ahead and take a look back at that. And then what else I want to tell you? For those of you that kind of joined late, I'm going to do another live webinar where I really want to focus on how to get your first deal. I'm going to be putting a link in the description of the replay of this because I'm going to make a survey on Facebook to see when the most people are available. So I don't know if you're available, like I said, weekdays, weekends, mornings, evenings, whatever. Let me know so I can get all of you guys on here, and then we can do some real deals. Maybe if you're really daring, I can bring you on live. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, next time we're on live, if somebody wants to be so brave as to volunteer, I'll bring you on live. You can make the phone call live in front of everybody, and then I'll critique you. I'll give you some pointers, and I think just getting over a lot of that initial fear and just doing it, and here's a little peer pressure to do it, like that'll just make you. It'll be a good exercise for you. So that's an option that we have there. There were some questions from yesterday, and I wrote it down, but I don't have it in front of me, that I really wanted to touch on, and we got cut off. Let's switch this YouTube back to my camera here. Oops. Yep, so there were a couple things from yesterday that I wanted to get to. If you're still on here and you remember that, definitely let me know. And there's someone else I gotta get back to. Okay, let's check out a couple of these comments. Can I do a video on ReFX on how to find deals? Sure, I can do a follow-up one, but actually if you want to look on my YouTube channel, just again, Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan, there's a video there's actually a couple of them, but one of them says my daily offer making routine. And so again, with a screen share, you see exactly what the system looks like, how I get in, some of the criteria I look for. ReFX is really cool because you could put together, I think it's like over 10,000 different combinations of lead types. You can search for things like absentee owners, foreclosures, probate, vacant, and you can search by equity, which is really, really cool too. So watch that video and I'll walk you through like not only how you find the properties, but how you do an analysis, like kind of a quick way too, and then run the comps and then put the prices in there and then send off all the offers as written contracts, right? And it's very important to not just make calls, but make sure that you're presenting a written offer. How does it work if the buyer backs out and you go to the title company to redeem the escrow? So here's one thing with title companies is like, let's say you have a contract and it says, okay, you got a non-refundable deposit, right? So what that means is if they back out, typically you're supposed to get that money, right? But for liability purposes, a lot of title companies, despite what it says, despite that they sent it, will still ask for written. What's the word I'm looking for? For basically for them to write to sign something that allows them to release the funds. It's liability on a title company's part. So that can be annoying because if the buyer's like no and make up some excuse, they might hold it, or you might have to either litigate, like go to court, or then you guys have to come to some agreement through the title company as an intermediary, which says, okay, well, this happened, this why I pulled out, so you can have half, but not the whole thing. So what I do is in my contracts, particularly the B2C contract, in that additional comment section, or you can add it as an addendum, it basically more or less says, buyer, now let's see how I phrase this, basically understands that if they don't perform for any reason other than an inability to receive clear and marketable title, this contract serves as a written release to release the escrow funds, the deposit, back to me, to the wholesaler, without any further written notice needed. And so you put that in there, and so like a lot of problems, especially in wholesaling, like you can handle them before they happen, and so like that's why I like to use a lot of protections in my contracts and stuff like that. I have an ebook actually, if you want to check my website, wholesalingmike.com, that has a lot of the clauses that I use in my contract. You can just copy and paste them right in there, and then I also provide an explanation where it shows you why I use those. And so that's one of them that I use. That way it's just like, hey, if they don't perform, you get to keep their deposit. Now if you're doing a double closing, it's very important that you get something's up with my stream, it's slowing down. What was I saying? Oh, it's very important that you get at least equal deposit to what you're asking on your A to B, but at least equal, but I recommend double. And for most of my buyers, I actually just ask for 10,000 because they're cash buyers, right? So the way that works is basically if I'm on an A to B contract and it says I need $1,000 earnest money, and then I I put up the 1,000 and then my inspection period ends. That means my deposit goes hard, which means it's not refundable, right? So at that point, like if the buyer puts up $1,000, their money's not refundable. But let's say they disappear, and then now I owe the seller gets to keep my 1,000, and then I get to keep the buyer's 1,000. But I lost 1,000, and they gave me 1,000, so I just net zero. So that sucks, but at least I'm not in the hole. So ideally, if I paid 1,000, I'd make their deposit at least 2,000. So if they don't show up, my 1,000 goes away, but I keep their 2,000. I'm still up 1,000. And then, like I said, with the 10,000, especially if it's a really good deal, you require 10,000. They put it up. You know that they're serious. If for some reason they default on the contract and they have signed that written release, which is not a separate release, but it's incorporated into your contract, then the seller keeps your 1,000, and then you keep their 10,000, and then you net 9,000. You get paid for a deal that never closed. Sorry guys, yeah, I see it says the connection is bad, but now I got it back up. That says excellent connection. So cool. Hey, what's up, Queen Lieber? All right, so does that answer your question? If the buyer backs out and you go to title company to redeem the escrow, again, it's like you want to handle problems. I like this analogy where it says you don't jump out of a plane without a parachute and then ask how to hit the ground safely. You know what I'm saying? You make sure you have yourself covered before you take that jump. And so this is something you're gonna learn, especially if you're new, as you go. And a lot of reasons I know these things, like when I talk to some of my students about the hold harmless assignment, we were talking about that yesterday. It's like, dude, I know that because I fucked that up and I lost significant amount of money. I didn't lose money out of my pocket, but I lost money out of my assignment fee. And so once you make that mistake, you kind of don't do that shit again. All right. So how do you run comps without the MLS? So two things on the comp piece, right? Again, you should have MLS access. It's something you could pay for, right? You can work with another realtor. A lot of software is incorporated. So like I said, in Refax, it's incorporated into there. But if you're not working with a realtor or you don't want to pay for it or something like that, man, listen, it's an imperfect system. And if you were looking to hold this, like you're a buy and hold person or you're fixing and flipping, your comp work's got to be tight, man. You got to go in and pull your comps. You want to look at the cash purchases versus the conventional purchases. You want to look at retail. You want to look at subdivision. Very important to make sure that your comps are good. But at the end of the day, man, as a wholesaler, you really just want to hit that ballpark. And especially if you're doing stuff on the MLS and you're doing like bulk offers, you don't want to be taking, like, my mom's a realtor and she told me it takes her 2 hours to run comps. Could you imagine, it taking 2 hours to run comps? It's crazy, because at the end of the day, your analysis of what the property is really worth is largely irrelevant. Like, you want to get in the ballpark, in the vicinity, to make sure you have something that you can take to the marketplace. But at the end of the day, it's up to the buyer to really validate that. So there are a couple different websites that you can use that can give you a ballpark figure. Again, I like my software because you can go in and look at things like subdivision, but also just some other tools you can use. If you just search Google, Bank of America Home Estimator, that's one way to look at it. Again, very general. This is not the professional way, but like if you just need like a quick ballpark, Chase Bank has one. The site I just used is called icomps.com. That's another good one. You can just kind of see by proximity what things are going for. And then the property appraiser site, again, this varies from county to county, but a lot of times they'll have an option where it says subdivision sales, or it'll say like comp sales, and you can just put it in and you can find the comps in there that way, and you could kind of do some deep diving, and it'll be enough 90% of the time to get you a really good estimate of where you need to be. And then again, remember, like I always say, negotiations do not end when the contract's signed. You can still negotiate during your inspection period. That's what the inspection period says. It's like, hey, go, you signed a contract basically blind. Go in and see if the numbers work. And if they don't, we renegotiate. So you're not doing anything wrong. That's what that's there for. And during that time, obviously, you're having the buyer run their numbers and vet their numbers out. So again, using the property appraiser site is another good way. Let's see. I'm planning to get my real estate license. When you're calling other realtors, do I have to let them know that I'm licensed even though I'm investing? So I'm not licensed, right? There are pros and, in my opinion, cons to doing that. I like networking. Like I said, my mom is a realtor. But I network with a lot of other realtors for different reasons. I have some realtors that are very investor friendly and understand what we do. And my mom's very by the book. She was an attorney for 20 plus years or whatever. So again, this is something that they should teach you when you go for your license. I'm not licensed, so I don't know the exact what it is, but I know that if you're involved in a transaction, I don't know if you have to say it on the call, but once you get to the point where you're going into contract, at that point, yes, you do have to disclose that you are a realtor. Now, my advice here is, what's my advice? Okay, tell the realtor that, listen, an investor. I am a licensed real estate agent. However, I just have my license, so I have access to MLS and to comps, but I'm not looking to take a commission, and I am. You can represent both sides of the transaction. The reason you want to do it that way is because, again, you're not taking half of their profit. Like, if you're looking at a traditional deal, 6%, you're talking about you're sacrificing 3%. So maybe you're sacrificing, $3,000 for the opportunity to make significantly more on the flip. Right. And by doing that, you really increase your chances of getting the property accepted. Because look at this, right? The realtors have a fiduciary agreement where they're supposed to look out for the best interest of the seller and get them the highest offer, best terms, right? But we live in the real world, right? So if, let's say, I come to a realtor and I'm like, listen, I want to buy this property for $100,000. I'm paying all cash and I'm not working the realtor. You get 6%. They make $6,000 on that deal. And then you come along, you say, hey man, I'm gonna buy this property. I want to make an offer for $120,000, but I got my own buyer's agent. So basically now they have to split that 6%. So on $120,000, like 70, I think it's $7,200. Now they're splitting that. So now they're only taking home $3,500, right? Whose offer do you think they're really going to try to push through? Or, even if they're not going to be very unethical about it, they might just, kind of nudge the seller the right way. Well, this guy's paying cash and he can close right now. So I think you should just go with this offer. I mean, we got this guy paying 120, but who knows? And so over time, especially if you're in this for the long run, and you're doing multiple deals that come by way of, call you back, by way of a real estate agent, then, you definitely just want to let them know, like, hey, I'm not taking a commission, and you'll end up doing much better and doing a lot more deals that way. My mentor does that, and I know a lot of other realtors who do that. So that would be my recommendation for that. What other tools do I recommend? I don't know how much time I got left. A couple minutes here. Had my technical difficulties, so shout out to Mom for picking up Jade. Appreciate that, so I can hang out with you guys. What other tools do you recommend? Probably best if you are a little bit more specific as to what you're looking for, but a lot of this depends on, and this is the thing that we're going to talk about when we do that webinar. It's like, I don't believe that you could just say in a blanket statement what's best for everyone, because it's going to depend on your budget. It's going to be, a lot of that depends on you. It's like if you have a lot of money to allocate, then there's hella tools that you could get. But if your budget is very limited, then I'm going to tell you, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't get that new software right now. You should just put that money into your direct mail until you deploy enough where it brings you a deal, and then you can take those profits and reinvest it back into your business. But one thing I really do recommend, especially for all my students when they first get started, is just having a CRM, man, because there are a lot of different ones. Obviously, I haven't tried them all. I don't think you need to be have the best one. You just have to make sure something works for you. So the things that I would look for and things that I like about my CRM is, one, ability to pull lists. I used to use List Source, and RealFacts doesn't have quite as many filters, but it's got enough where you can pull some really decent lists. And like I said, do some cool stuff like look at equity. You want to be able to look at comps. So there should be a feature where you can find comps in there. One thing I really, really like about RealFacts, and previous to this, I was using FreedomSoft that did the same thing, is the ability to send out written offers in bulk. In the sense that you basically just put in the address and the offer price, and it fills out all the rest of the contract with your signature in there, and this you can really hit volume by doing it that way. So that's what I really invest in. And the other thing about a CRM is it keeps you organized. And I remember trying to do this with paper in the beginning, and I remember trying to do this on an Excel spreadsheet. In the beginning, when you're only making offers on 20 properties, that's fine, but when you're doing 10 a day, and then you have to follow up, that's the biggest thing. Most people, I got to pull up the stats, but it's like what percentage? It's like half of all wholesalers, and even I think salespeople in general, don't do even a second call. And most of your deals very rarely will be accepted the first time around. So you really want to be constantly following up. And then when you get to a point you're doing 10 a day, you do that for 4 weeks. Now you have this massive list to start to follow up on, and you don't even know where you are. So RealFacts, it's like you can make your offers, and it keeps track of everything, it keeps a history. So you can put notes in there too, custom notes. So say stuff like, okay, you made this offer, this is what they said, this is what they're looking for, or was it in backup status, did it fall out, this is what we talked about on the phone. And then when you come back to that 2 weeks later, to another 2 weeks later after that, then comments again, you know where you are and what you said. Do you think the wholesaling industry is starting to become oversaturated? Absolutely not. And here's why. Couple things. You know, you don't look at other professions like, do you think being a lawyer is saturated? You know, do you think becoming a doctor is saturated? It's like, no, you don't do that. You basically just try to carve your niche, and you try to be in the top, Pareto's principle. You try to be in the top 20%. And then so in that sense, you just want to kind of be the best at what you do. And if you look at it from this perspective, I think it's gotten a lot more popular. I think compared to a couple years ago, inventory is less. But the thing is that, and the reason I can even say a lot of stuff is the average person doesn't execute. The average person is really not that. I think sometimes people get like shiny object syndrome. They kind of jump out of this, or in the beginning, the business, especially in the beginning, takes a lot of like grit, in the sense of like it takes a lot of rejection, and it takes a lot of volume for the most part. And I think a lot of people just quit too early. I have people who will send like direct mail 1 month, maybe 2 months, and then we know the statistics say if you want to guarantee a deal, you pretty much got to send them for 6 months, and it's very rare that someone will actually do that. When I talk about cold calling, you guys see, look, we just made a random phone call, and I made it sound very, very amateur. And then at the same time, how many people, like some people will say, hey man, I'm going to do that, and then they'll go and they'll do it for 2 days, and then they just won't do it. It's the same thing. Like I make that analogy with the gym, man. It's like, it's not hard, right? It's not necessarily easy, but you have so many people who say, I really want to get in shape. I'm going to lose these 10 pounds. And even though the process is there and a lot of people get excited, the gym just gets saturated in January. How many people come out losing those 10 pounds by the time you get to May? The other thing you got to realize is that, like, even when people talk about the industry crunch, it's like, or inventory being scarce, it's like, look, man, like people go into foreclosure or pre-foreclosure every single day. I have some really cool statistics on this, but it's a lot. It's a lot more than I thought it was. People die every day. Properties get inherited every day. I actually have actual statistics of like what it breaks down to per second. You have other international buyers who just want to get a piece of, let's say in my area, Miami, Florida real estate. They'll pay a little bit higher. You have divorces that happen every single day. You have people who have problematic tenants. You ever pull the eviction list? They put that shit out even right here in Palm Beach County. You can grab that list with updates every single week. There's so many evictions. You got for sale by owners. You got military people. And then you have just word of mouth. When you just network, you're going to know somebody who knows someone who knows somebody. Remember the old experiment with 6 degrees of separation, and I have a video of it somewhere, but basically say now with social media, it's actually more like 3 degrees of separation. So if you know somebody, there's a chance, not a chance, like it's highly likely that they know someone who knows someone, between 3 intermediaries who needs to sell a house, right? And so at that sense, like how many wholesalers are here? Like even people who are really interested, again, the average person is kind of probably just going to quit a lot of times, but there's such a finite number of wholesalers, especially when you compare it to like realtors, and even realtors are getting pushed out a little bit because of technology. What we do as wholesalers is like a little bit different because we're deal finders and deal makers and problem solvers. But again, what do you really need, man? Like when you set your goals, if you're looking at the average deal, it's like, let's say $10,000, you want to do 2 deals a month. It's like 2 deals a month, 2 houses. MLS alone right now, in my area, millions of houses. You could do this shit virtually. You could connect with other people. You could do JV deals. Two a month. We're not saying you got to flip 100 houses here every single month. 2 a month. That's $20,000 a month. It's $250,000 a year. It's like, it's not bad numbers. You know what I'm saying? So like, you really don't need that huge volume. But also when this question comes out, like that whole thinking is gonna put a lot of doubt in your mind. It's really gonna fuck your mindset up, man. So if your mindset's already in that area, then you either really need to fix that up very, very quickly, or it might not even be the game for you, because that shit will come back and eat you up. Not saying you should, but I'm saying in general. Man, my YouTube stream's kind of lagging here, bro. What kind of CRMs would you recommend? I use Reifax, Reifax. I really, really like it. And I'd recommend it, but it's not in all states right now. So as far as I know, I think they have Florida, New Jersey, Maryland, California, but I know they're trying to go nationwide, which is cool because they started as a smaller company, but they've got a lot of really dope resources. And then as they expand, they're using a lot of user feedback to make it more user friendly and give us the stuff that we need. I can't vouch for everything because I haven't used it. In the past, I've used FreedomSoft, and I was very, very pleased with that system. And then those are two systems I've used, so that's all I can speak to. But if I had to, if I was going to switch my system now, and I wouldn't just because I'm so invested in it, I know Max Maxwell's got some stuff, and I'm a huge fan of his. So like, I would probably just look into his stuff. I know he's got like some stuff that he's working into a system like skip tracing and stuff like that incorporated in there. And if I was interested, it's something I would definitely give thought to. I had a trial for PropStream at some point, and I looked at it very briefly, but I don't think you can like send. I think it looked good for lead generation. Again, this is pure speculation. I'm not a user, so don't take my word for it. I'm not talking down anything. But from what I saw, it looked good for lead generation. But as a whole CRM, I don't recall, and I could be wrong, but like the ability to fill out contracts and send them from there, which is something that I do on a daily basis that I find very, very helpful. So, yeah, that's that. And then I've had students who have used Podio and they were not a fan. They just said it I guess was very cumbersome to kind of set up and get rolling. So that's not my feedback. It's just kind of what I've heard. All right. Have I heard about Real Estate IQ? I have not. Don't know what that is. But our clock is winding down here, folks. So if you have additional questions, let's do this. And I got to check this stream too. Like I said, send them to me. Instagram, just shoot them in my DM. I'll either answer them on the next live, or again, if a lot of people are interested, I'll put together a video. I got some great ideas from you guys yesterday. Like I said, working on repair estimates, negotiating, more MLS stuff. And so those videos will come out. And then the next one to look out for, I'll try to record it this weekend. Actually, it'll be like what to look for in a title company, what's title insurance, all that good stuff. And then remember to come back to this replay and check for the link in the description, or just check my Facebook page. I'm going to put that survey for when we should do our how to do your first deal session. We'll remain completely focused on that. And again, I'm not doing the webinar thing because the PowerPoint is a real pain in the ass, and it's cool when we can answer questions and just talk like this, right? Have I heard of Real Estate ABC? I have not. So I don't know, but if you got here late and missed it, I did touch very briefly on some of the resources I use for comps. As a matter of fact, if you want to rewatch this replay on YouTube, I can put those links in the description there. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, man. Always a pleasure. It's Friday night. I'm going to go hang out with my baby girl. I'm going to go watch some Adam's Family, I think. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon, all right? So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll holler at you, all right? Peace. Let's chop that off. And we'll chop